Now, Wave News at 5.
I'm at work sitting in my job in the courthouse when I get the call that my niece has been killed. Where's the outrage, Louisville? Where's it at?
Right here. Tonight, we're hearing from the family of the woman who was shot and killed while walking her daughter to her bus stop in the Russell neighborhood. You're watching Wave News at 5. I'm Myra Ansari. Brian is off tonight. Tonight, the search continues for the person who shot and killed 23-year-old Rhodesia Williams in front of her 7-year-old daughter. Her family says that they want the suspect caught as quickly as possible. Wave News reporter Fernando Garcia Franceschini joins us live with how Williams' family is remembering her and their call to action.
Well, Myra, police continue to look for the person who shot and killed her at this school bus stop behind me. The family joined city and community leaders today to demand change in Louisville. The family of Rhodesia Williams says it was routine for her to walk her 7-year-old daughter to her bus stop. But that routine walk quickly turned into tragedy.
I'm so devastated because I had to watch my sister lay on that ground and take her last breath, and there was nothing I could do about it.
Rhodesia's sister, Lovett Knuckles, was there because her daughter, Rhodesia's niece, also catches the bus at 10th and Chestnut. The family now left heartbroken and asking for justice.
And we want the killers caught ASAP. ASAP.
Balloons, flowers, and stuffed animals lay on the spot where Rhodesia took her daughter to so many times. Her loved ones remembering her as a bright light in the family.
She was the life of the party. She had no filter. She didn't care.
And she'll light up the room every time she comes in.
Rhodesia's family gathered with city leaders and neighbors on Thursday morning to ask the community to come together to find solutions to the rise in youth violence in Louisville. Rhodesia's murder marks the second shooting near that same bus stop in less than a week. Her family wants the violence to stop now.
Be angry every day. Be proactive in your community. Be proactive in your neighborhood. Don't talk about it. Be about it. I watched your video yesterday. Ma'am, I appreciate you.
Behind me, the makeshift memorial that's been set up at that bus stop in Rhodesia's memory has grown since last night. Last night it was just a couple of balloons and I believe one stuffed animal. There's more there right now, people honoring her memory. LMPD is asking anyone with information to call the tip line at 574-LMPD. I do want to say a spokesperson with LMPD says that 15-year-old that was initially questioned as a suspect in Rhodesia's murder turned out to be involved in the first shots fired incident here on the first day of school, and he is now the second teen charged in that case. Fernando Garcia Franceschini, Wave News.
Thank you, Fernando. LMPD had officers at that bus stop at 10th and Chestnut this morning. A group of cruisers and officers, they were patrolling the area after yesterday's deadly shooting. The stop is just 5 feet away from the Chestnut Street YMCA and Western Library. LMPD ended patrols at the stop after declaring the 10th and Chestnut bus stop safe, and that's before yesterday's shooting. LMPD Chief Paul Humphrey hasn't said how long those officers will be keeping an eye on that bus stop. Unfortunately, this isn't the only incident of gun violence at a JCPS bus stop. During a press conference this morning, several families talked about their own experiences. 3 different mothers detailed the horror of finding out their children had been shot and killed while waiting to go to school. One woman we heard from was Sharita Smith. She lost her son in 2021. Smith's son, Tyree, was just 16 years old when he was shot and killed while waiting with other students at the bus stop. And Smith said that her son was just an innocent bystander and that no parent should have to go through that pain.
My son was doing the right thing. He was on the school bus going to school. He was a sports player. He was a taxpayer. He was everything. I mean, there's people out here that was my kids' teachers that was at his funeral that can say, it's what you see is what you get. You know, this was a great kid. And no matter if you're a great kid or not, nobody has the right to take your life. Right. You know, this lady was out here with her kid on the bus stop, and we heard today mourning her life. It's no way we should have to go through this.
And once again, the suspected shooter in Wednesday's shooting has not been arrested. If you know anything, you are asked to contact police. We have new updates tonight from a shooting that we brought you as breaking news last night at 11. We've learned that the name of the woman killed in a shooting on West Broadway. We've also learned that she was 21 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. Right now, there is a press conference underway at Three Brothers Food Mart where that shooting happened. And the county coroner says the victim is 22-year-old Jeremiah Offit. Police say that she was found shot at the scene and rushed to the hospital where she died. LMPD has not arrested the shooter yet. They're asking anyone who has information to call their anonymous tip line. And we're continuing to follow these developing stories. You can always follow updates on air and the Wave 3 website and on our streaming platforms. All right, let's go to something a little bit lighter right now. The gates are open and rides are going at this year's Kentucky State Fair. This is a live look from the Woodway at the Expo Center. It's going to be a hot one as people enjoy themselves for opening day and throughout the weekend. Wave News Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harden is going to have our forecast, and Jose Zozaya is going to be live from the fairgrounds tonight. But Kevin, if you're going out to the fairgrounds, it's going to be steamy.
Yeah, you're right about that. In fact, we're in the 80s now, but we will likely see those temperatures edge into the mid-90s by the weekend. And you'll notice a few folks out on the Midway, but not a huge crowd. So the first day, a good day to get out and about. 89, our current temperature. We're up a degree from the last hour. Lots of low 90s, a few upper 80s, a few that are in the lower 80s thanks to the cloud cover off to our south. Most of us are rain-free. The exception would be the extreme southern part of the viewing area, southern Adair County, with a couple of downpours. Hour by hour, we're going to fade that rain chance right out of here as the night goes on. The skies will be mainly clear. The temperatures will still be warm and muggy, though. We're going into the 70s for overnight lows. That heat that we talked about for the first weekend of the fair shows signs of breaking next week. I'll put some numbers to it so you know how to plan. That's coming up with the 10-day earliest alert. Myra?
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. Well, if you can't make it to the fair tonight, don't worry. You've got 11 days of fair food and fun and animals and concerts and, of course, the rides. Wave News anchor Jose Zozaya is live at the fairgrounds this evening, checking everything out. And Jose, I think you are having a lot of fun out there.
I was, Myra, and the weather with the breeze involved, it does feel good to kind of get that momentum going. Another option is to come inside. We're in the South Wing in the B section, and I have to admit, Myra, a trip to the Kentucky State Fair feels incomplete without coming to check out all the animals, really just a showcase of the agriculture Kentucky has to offer. What I mean by that is right now we're in the middle of a live milking. We've met our new friend's name. It's Lydia the cow, obviously in the Southland Dairy Farmers trailer, and our guide here walking them through the process of what it takes. There's even kind of a station not too far off from here, Myra, where folks could try the milking for themselves with just some makeshift hoses, but so much more you could discover. We're talking chickens, pigs, sheep, goats. It really is just all inside in this wing. And I'm going to pull our photographer to say we're going from the big animals to the small animals. What I mean by that is take a look at what feels like a staple here inside the State Fair Discovery Farm. This little troop of ducklings trying to grab as much of their feed as they could. Oh, but there they go, sliding down into the tub. But you can see just how popular this is. Even on the first day, Myra, just people wanting to come here and enjoy time together as a family. We're going to spend a little bit more time here this afternoon, which, by the way, the fun doesn't end just today. This obviously goes through August 24th. So around Wave News at 6, we're going to check out a little bit more of all the fun there is to see here at the Kentucky Expo Center. For now, we'll send it back to you.
Jose, I have to tell you, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to see you actually milk the cow on TV.
So you say that, Myra, but there is a station, and I might just tease ahead to that a little later tonight on Wave News at 8. If you can see, there's a makeshift cow, and some people wanted to get in front of the camera. So they're excited. We're excited. I'll promise we'll see that later tonight.
All right, we got to see what your milking skills look like. All right, thanks, Jose. Well, a celebration of all things Kentucky Proud is happening now at the Kentucky State Fair. It all started this morning with the annual commodity breakfast at the Kentucky Proud Cookout Tent. Everything on the menu comes from farmers across the Commonwealth. Mayor Greenberg, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman helped dish it out to hundreds of fair attendees.
This is a time when the state fair opens and Kentuckians come together and we enjoy our state, all of its products, all of its talent, and put it on display here in Louisville. Today's not such a political breakfast. That might change at the ham breakfast next week, but today's more about coming together.
And the livestock barns, they are open until 9 o'clock tonight. The rides in the Midway, they shut down at 10. The fair runs through August 24th at the Kentucky Expo Center. And you can catch the Wave News team at the fair next week for Wave News Day at the fair. That's set for Tuesday, August 19th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can stop by and talk and take pictures and grab some free swag. We'll be inside the South Wing A. We can't wait to see you. Well, state prosecutors have a tough message for juveniles who commit crimes in Kentucky. You're going to hear why parents could soon face legal consequences ahead at 5:30. Plus, the food options in West Louisville will be on full display for all to enjoy. We're going to share more details about a community event after the break.
Wave News.
A man who was in a home when it exploded in Jeffersonville has died from his injuries. The county coroner says 53-year-old Patrick Grimes died at U of L Hospital yesterday from septic shock. A social media post from friends say that 2 other victims are still in the hospital. 2 others have been released from the hospital. Investigators say that the explosion last month on Washington Way was caused by a buildup of gas inside the home. We've also learned that the victim in last night's shooting in the Klondike neighborhood has died. LMPD says that the shooting happened around 11:30 on Middale Lane. That's not far from Klondike Elementary School. A man was shot and then rushed to the hospital in critical condition where he died from his injuries. Police say that the shooting suspect barricaded himself inside his apartment, but eventually came out and was arrested. Charges are pending. Well, you can weigh in on potential upgrades to a busy corridor in South Louisville. Right now, there is an open house going on to talk about traffic issues at 7th Street Road at the intersection of Manslick Road. The KYTC traffic study is presenting ideas that could reduce the number of crashes in the area. The open house is taking place at the South Louisville Community Center until 7. Input from tonight's meeting will be used in a final report to be published by the end of the year. New here at 5, you can experience some of the food options West Louisville has to offer through a community event. The growing food scene is being highlighted in the West on Wednesday event. The regular series showcases independent restaurants and cafes in the area. The next event is happening August 27th from noon to 2 p.m. at Black Coffee 2. Now that's located inside the Goodwill Opportunity Center. The Black-owned cafe and sister location to the original shop offers coffee and smoothies and lunch. You can register to attend the event at keeplouisvilleweird.com. The West End School is celebrating the grand opening of its new program for girls. We're going to hear about the school's mission as it welcomes new students.
Temperatures cranking up for the weekend. Going to push us close to the hottest we've been so far this season. We'll take a look at those numbers and when we're actually going to see a little bit of a cool down and our next best rain chance. We've got it all in the 10-day earliest alert when we come back.
All right, time now to get to your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett. And we can see the fair behind you. And if you're going to the fair, whew, get a lemonade shake-up. Get some ice cream to cool yourself down because it's so hot out there.
Well, you know, we say this every year around here, but we're so fortunate that we have so much space indoors. So you can kind of come and go between the outdoor things that they have, which are plenty, and the indoor things.
That's what Jose was talking about. He had been outside, and now it's time to cool down inside.
Yeah, and you're trying to get him to milk the cow. We'll see if he comes around. The fake cow doesn't count, by the way, Jose.
I think that's good TV. Why wouldn't you do it?
You're right. It always is, isn't it? Yeah. All right, let's talk heat building in. We always expect that for the state fair, but it really is going to ramp up this weekend. Our headline is the heat intensifies. We'll be taking it easy if you're headed to the fairgrounds this weekend. Highs tomorrow, 93. That's not too far from where we should be. Most areas, low 90s for our Friday. That's how we end the week, but the weekend is hotter. We're talking highs in the mid to upper 90s for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. So this heat will grip us across the Ohio Valley and across a chunk of the country, really, before we notice some cooler air moving in mid to late week and an even sharper blast of colder air moving in by the end of the month, it looks like. So a couple of waves of cooler temperatures are in store. Between, say, today and the 24th, we've got the fair going. Temperatures through the weekend, mid-90s. Plan accordingly. Rain chances look limited through that time. So that's at least some good news for the pairing of the fair. Let's get you outside. There's our view of the Midway with the north wing in the background there. Always a busy time throughout the stay of the fair. Temperatures in the 80s and 90s for this first day. Very normal for this time of year. Our heat index is pushed that number up by about 4 to 5 degrees, depending on where you are. Rain chances are going to be limited across southern Indiana and northern Kentucky, a little bit higher along and south of the parkways, but even much of those are collapsing at this point. We've got one downpour in the southern part of Adair County. We're dry here in Louisville under a mostly sunny sky. That downpour southern Adair County, a few bolts of lightning with that. Just south of the Gradyville area, that's going to stay south of Columbia. I'll zoom this out and you'll point out that the front is to our south, but it's not really going to cool us down. That front is bringing in the drier air temporarily. That will stick with us into the weekend, but the heat will bounce back, and we're going to see that in full force starting tomorrow with partly to mostly sunny skies during the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's rain chance is minimal, and again, mainly to our south and east, so rain chances are not going to be very high the next several days, but the heat will be. We'll go 93 for tomorrow's high. Current temperature 89. Our wind is calm. Our humidity 50%, and dew points tolerable in the upper 60s. Our low tonight will go down to 74. It'll be a partly cloudy night, back to a partly to mostly sunny Friday. High temperature 93. I'll walk you through the 10-day forecast. Let's start by talking about Saturday and the heat at 95 degrees. That's a warm Saturday. Everybody will be in on the 90s by Saturday. We hit Sunday with that high of 96. That's a very warm day, and so is Monday. Next Tuesday, wave day at the fair. That heat will peak on Tuesday before we bring in the front that will bring our next best rain chance, and that happens by Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, all at a 30% chance. That's not an outrageous rain chance, but it will be followed by some cooler temperatures, at least in the upper 80s, and that sure beats the upper 90s.
I think we will be welcoming the rain and the cooler temperatures over the next few days.
We're going to need it.
Yeah, we are. All right, thanks, Kevin.
Okay.
Well, the West End School is expanding its programming to include girls. It's their first time that they're doing so in the school's 20-year history. The school hosted the grand opening for the program today. The West End School is a tuition-free school located in the Chickasaw neighborhood. Right now, the girls program includes pre-K through 2nd grade and will expand all the way up to 8th grade.
This school will impact so many of our youth. It will remove so many barriers.
And while the boys' school currently serves around 150 students, the addition of the girls' school doubled the size of the student body. It required a physical expansion of the campus in order to have the classrooms needed. Russian President Vladimir Putin is praising President Trump's peace efforts ahead of their meeting in Alaska. We're learning what preparations are underway in hopes to secure a ceasefire deal with Ukraine. In less than 24 hours, President Trump will meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin in an effort to end the war in Ukraine. As the summit nears, both leaders say that they are confident the talks can be productive, but also acknowledging that they don't expect to leave Alaska with a peace deal in place. NBC's Jay Gray reports.
In a place known as the last frontier on the eve of the Anchorage summit.
Alaska is the crossroads of the world.
A world where 5,000 miles away, Russian attacks on Ukraine have intensified ahead of ceasefire talks between President Trump and Russian President Putin. A meeting at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson with one glaring absence. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky not invited. He says he is, quote, skeptical about the summit and that Putin is bluffing to buy time, stressing nothing will move forward without a pause in the fighting.
It never made sense, this war. I want to see if I can stop the killing.
Mr. Putin today describing President Trump's peace effort as, quote, energetic and sincere. Still, both leaders downplaying the idea that it will end with a deal. The White House characterizing the meeting as a listening session. The president now saying peace will require a second summit.
The more important meeting will be the second meeting that we're having. We're going to have a meeting with President Putin, President Zelensky, myself.
But warning, there will be no second meeting if he doesn't get the answers from President Putin needed to move the peace talks forward. Now, President Trump hasn't said what those answers or even what his questions may be, but does say if the peace talks do move forward, the next summit could come very quickly. Jay Gray, NBC News, Anchorage.
Juveniles have been at the center of violent crime investigations recently, and the community is demanding action. We're going to ask Mayor Greenberg about changes police and the city are considering to keep everyone safe. Plus, all the fun rides and the food of the Kentucky State Fair, they come with some road closures. We're going to run down the list that you need to know at 5:30.
Now, Wave News at 5.
The state's Commonwealth's attorney in Louisville calls on potential youthful offenders to put the guns down, and she's calling on state lawmakers to hold parents accountable in keeping their children out of trouble. Wave News reporter David Mattingly has more on the comments as the community struggles to find solutions.
Myra, in the wake of recent juvenile violence, it was definitely a get tough message today from Commonwealth's attorney Jarena Weathers. Weathers said when it comes to juvenile crime, something's going on right now she hasn't seen before. In response, her office is currently prosecuting 80 youthful offenders as adults. She also calls on the state legislature to draft and pass parental responsibility laws, creating civil and criminal penalties for parents who fail to act.
We, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the prosecutors of this city, is taking a stand and calling now for our legislators to help us draft and pass new legislation for parental responsibility that covers these cases of youthful offenders possessing guns they should not have.
It's come after today's public demands for relief from violent crime. Currently, there are no facilities for holding juvenile offenders in Jefferson County. More on how that might be contributing to the current violence at Wave News at 6. David Mattingly, Wave News.
All right, thank you, David. And I know many of you, including me, since yesterday have been thinking how tragic yesterday's situation was unfolding. A young child witnessing her mother being shot and killed right before her. That should bother everybody here in our community. And Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg is joining us now. Mayor, I know that this is hitting you hard. This is hitting everybody hard, and it should.
Absolutely, it should. This is shattering. You know, we've got a lot of great things going on in the community. We're making great progress with reducing crime overall. And then there's a tragedy like this that really sets us back. That hurts everyone. It hits differently when the circumstances are what they are here today. So my hope is that everyone continues to work together, that we're not blaming each other for who's responsible for things that happen or not, but we're talking about how we can prevent this from ever happening again in our city. And I truly believe that everyone can help. Even if they don't realize they can help, they can. If there are people there that saw what happened that can provide information to the police, if you don't feel comfortable anonymously providing that information, you can tell someone else who can tell it. If you're a parent, as you just heard with Commonwealth Attorney Weathers, what she's doing, if you're a parent and your kid has access to guns, you can lock up your guns in your house and your car to make sure that they're safe. If you think your kids are hanging out with the wrong people, say something. If you don't know what to do yourself, ask for help. If you're a judge, you can hold individuals responsible for the violent acts that they commit. If you're a legislator, you can pass laws like Commonwealth Attorney Weathers we're just talking about, or others that keep illegal guns off of our streets. And if you don't feel like you fit into any one of those categories, you can volunteer. There are great organizations like the Y itself, the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, all of whom are looking for adults that can provide support and strength and mentorship to young people so they have a positive path in life and don't end up doing things like this that are going to hurt others and ruin their lives.
Police have put out a description, a photo of the suspect that they're looking for from yesterday's homicide. It's a man in looks like a red hoodie, dark pants. What are police doing right now to find this person? We have a killer out there.
We do, and they are actively working. I literally just spoke to the police chief 30 minutes ago, got an update, can't get into the details of that investigation, but they are working incredibly hard. They apprehended the 2 individuals who shot at each other a few days before on the first day of school at this same location. I really hope that they catch this individual as well that committed this horrible murder. And what I ask is, if the community knows something, if you were at the bus stop, if you know someone who's at the bus stop, please provide that information. That will be incredibly helpful.
David mentioned in his story before our interview, you know, the issue of where these troubled teens, where do they go once they have been arrested by police? There's nowhere in Louisville to put these teens, and that is a problem.
It is a problem. You're exactly right. It was shut down, the one in Louisville, before I became mayor. We've now transferred the property to the state that runs the system for the entire state. I spoke with the Secretary of Juvenile Justice today, and I was assured that the contractors have been awarded the bid on that. The city has transferred the property to the state. They now own it. Contractors are in there working, and I've asked them to see what we can do to even speed up the construction to get that reopened quickly. We need to hold these individuals responsible. I know they're young. They are committing violent acts that need to have punishments.
And I think that's what the community wants. They want to see some sort of accountability, and also with parents as well.
That's exactly right. That's why what Jimena Weathers is doing is incredibly, I think, a positive development. That's another thing the legislators can do to help us here, to give us more tools in the toolbox. People need to be held responsible, and we need to make sure that judges, when police apprehend these individuals, that they hold them responsible, that we measure these sentences in long years. When people use guns for the wrong reason and cause harm to others, we need to take that seriously. That needs to serve as a deterrent for others as well. People need to know we will find you. There will be consequences. At the same time, we're going to continue investing in programs to prevent these crimes from happening in the first place. We're going to continue to invest in our community centers, in our libraries, in our parks, in programs for teens. We've got a new initiative right now called Get Busy, which is targeting middle school age students, because by the time they get to high school, as we're seeing now, sometimes that's too late. We have to reach our kids early, and so we're going to do everything we can.
Children need to be able to go to school safely. They're at the right place at the wrong time. These criminals need to be caught.
That's absolutely right.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Kevin with a check of your forecast.
All right, Meyer, thank you. Outside today, it is hot, it is humid. We would expect that on a summertime day, and certainly for the first day of the Kentucky State Fair. There's the Midway. You can see a few folks milling about. We've got a little bit of a crowd out there for the first day. That gets bigger and bigger as we head toward the weekend, and temperatures will go higher and higher by then as well. 89, the current temperature downtown and at the airport. We have a mix of mid to upper 80s for most, but there are a few 90s dotted in there, so all of us are on the warm side. You can check the satellite and radar. Starting to see a few downpours develop across Perry County. That's one downpour. Can't rule that out anywhere north of the parkways, but the better chance has been and will continue to be south of the parkways, where we have some thunder and lightning going on in southern Adair County. That's passing south of Columbia down toward Breeding, moving toward Amandaville. Now, for us, hour by hour, the rain chance stays low, but it's not zero. We'll keep it at 20% through 8, 9 o'clock. Rain chances fade away completely overnight. We'll drop into the 70s for overnight lows. That heat and humidity, we've got it for the weekend. We're going to talk about those numbers in the 10-day earliest alert from the Weather Garden coming up.
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. The name of the bicyclist who was killed in a hit-and-run crash is released. The county coroner says 27-year-old Blair Sawyer died from blunt force trauma at the hospital. The crash happened Monday night just before 10 o'clock at the intersection of Chamberlain Lane and Chamberlain Court. LMPD tells us that the driver who hit Sawyer left the scene and hasn't been caught. Governor Beshear says the state and federal investigators are looking into claims that driver's licenses were given to people in the county illegally. Some Kentucky officials say that they are deeply troubled by the claims. Phil Pendleton talked with several lawmakers about the situation and how future legislation could prevent something like this from happening in the future.
The allegation, all detailed in this lawsuit against the Transportation Cabinet, is that people in this country illegally paid as much as $200 for driver's licenses in cash using under-the-table means.
Bottom line is, It should have never happened.
Senator Jimmy Higdon chairs the Transportation Committee in Frankfort. He says it is extremely troubling that it's been alleged driver's licenses were given to people who should not have had them simply because they paid cash.
You know, fundamentally wrong at every level. You know, and it's a betrayal of the public trust.
Higdon and other lawmakers say this problem, along with other issues with regional offices, tell them reforms are needed, and they say legislation to address that is coming.
You know, we've already been looking at that. We know there's changes that need to be made. We were trying to, so this really kind of amps up that effort.
Governor Beshear has stated that the process to review how driver's licenses are issued are reviewed on a regular basis, and it was actually during one of these reviews that these problems were discovered. He also says that if IDs were given out fraudulently, that they would be discovered when someone was at the airport or when they were pulled over by police.
Attorney General Russell Coleman says the investigation into the issue has been going on for several months. It involves his office, state police, and their federal partners. You'll have to dodge a number of road closures this weekend, starting with events at the Kentucky State Fair. There will be a number of roads blocked off around the Expo Center fairgrounds. That includes streets along Phillips Lane. A lot of that congestion will be near the gate entrances as people are coming and going from the festivities. This is happening at the Expo Center area. It's going through renovations, and the Kentucky State Fair runs now until August 24th. Jose Zozaya was live at the fair at the top of the show. He continues the fun tonight on Wave Extra. Here's Jose with a preview of what's to come. Hey, Jose.
Hope you join us tonight on Wave Extra at 8 o'clock. It's so much fun here already on the first day of the Kentucky State Fair. We're not just talking interactive farmyard, so much in the way of exhibition and showcases for families. But by the way, it's all about the fair food and the fair fun at the Midway. You're going to see how I might have fared. And one of these, let's say, medium speed rides. Hope you join us tonight, not just on the Wave Now app, but also on all our different social media channels on Wave News.
If you're struggling to get out of debt, many experts say that it might be time to streamline. In this Watching Your Wallet consumer investigator, Rachel DePompa goes over the ins and outs of debt consolidation.
Debt consolidation is a powerful tool that allows you to combine your debts into a single loan payment. Usually, this move will also lower your interest rate. Cherry Dale, the vice president of financial education at Virginia Credit Union, says you have to have a plan around this because debt consolidation only works if you're not going to open up new lines of credit and take on more debt. And she says unsecured debt is the best place to start.
So things like credit card debt, number one. If you have other types of debt, like buy now, pay later debt, it's becoming much more common. That unsecured debt is something that you want to look at, and it's probably got the highest interest rates attached to it.
Dale says list all your different debts, your monthly payments, and the interest rates. If you have a secured debt like a car loan with a secured interest rate, that might not be something you want to consolidate into your other debts. She also says there are a few things to be careful of, including teaser rates and fees.
So you want to understand what you're signing up for. We see a lot of 0% interest credit card offers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to understand after the 6 months to a year, what interest rate does it default to, and where are you at the end of that. And so just making sure that you have a plan around paying that off is really important.
Dale says you should also check your credit report if you're considering a debt consolidation to make sure you haven't missed anything. You can go to annualcreditreport.com for a free report from all 3 credit bureaus. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Airbnb is introducing a new feature that allows travelers to reserve some stays without paying up front. So the new feature is called Reserve Now, Pay Later. It's available to U.S. customers for some stays in the U.S. You can use the feature for listings with a flexible or moderate cancellation policy. The full rental amount isn't due until shortly before the end of the listing's free cancellation period. Host cancellation policies do not change. No credit check is required. Airbnb hopes the feature will spark more reservations for U.S.-based hosts. Tickets will soon go on sale for fall races at Keeneland. We're going to tell you when you can grab them and some of the new construction work at the racetrack.
A couple of downpours showing up on the radar now. We're tracking those. And as the rain chances go down as we approach the weekend, the temperatures will be going up. We've got the hot 10-day earliest alert forecast from the Weather Garden when we come back.
All right, Kevin is joining us now from the Weather Garden. Kevin, you were mentioning earlier, some places are getting some heavy rain.
Well, yeah, there's a few places, but it's now down to about 2, I think, on the last check of the radar. But you're right. Places that are getting it's like, man, this is kind of nice. We needed the rain and we got a dose. Out here in the Weather Garden, we could use a little dose, too. The begonias, doesn't take long to dry them out. So probably in your backyard, you may be needing a little rain as well. Our next best rain chance, by the way, is only a very small scattered chance, and that comes in mid next week. So it's hot and generally dry between now and then. 89, that's where we stand now. That's the official temperature from the airport. Feels like 93. That's the heat index. Humidity, 50%. And while winds say calm here, we just felt a nice breeze out here in the Weather Garden, so that's nice. On the allergy report, we made it back into that medium category today after spending the last 2 days in the low range. We could see medium to low over the next couple of days for that grass pollen. We'll be keeping our eyes on that. Shouldn't be anything too outrageous. That season is starting to ease just a bit. On the patio tonight, you will have to watch the radar. A couple of downpours, can't rule them out, much like we've seen the last several days. There have been progressive decrease in those as expected, but they're still on the radar in places. The chance is not 0. All right, I say that so emphatically because it never feels like, you said it wasn't going to. No, it didn't say it wasn't going to rain, said it was going to rain less. Temperatures will be in the 90s, falling into the 80s through the evening, 70s for overnight lows. All right, let me bring on a few stats here. We'll talk temperatures first, making it into the 90s. Well, we're pushing into the warmest category for our summers on record. Right now, we're setting at number 3. Of course, the first place was 2010. That was a very hot summer. Average temperature, 82.3. And then in 1936, yeah, some of you may remember that. That was 80.9 for the average temperature. So far this year, we're at 80.4. And the big reason is, no, not because we've had so many excessive days in the upper 90s or even 100. We haven't hit it this year. But we've had very warm nighttime lows. The humidity makes a difference in that. And boy, we've seen a lot of that this season. We're at 89, most places mid to upper 80s surrounding us. There are a few 90s. I'll show you the downpour that we've been tracking in our southern part of the viewing area, and that's southern Adair County, almost out of there. And besides that downpour, we have one other one over in Perry County. And most other places are dry. Most will stay dry through the evening. Temperatures tomorrow will bounce back into the low 90s. We're going 93 in Louisville. For your Friday, we see some sun early. Should see a mostly, maybe partly sunny sky at times in the afternoon. Lower rain chances tomorrow will push that chance south and east. Temperatures will be the bigger story. Saturday's high 95, and by Sunday we should be 96. We're going to continue climbing. By Monday, we could hit 97, if not then by Tuesday, and that would mark tying the hottest of the season so far. We hit that on June the 24th and the 25th. So the heat will peak on Tuesday with our forecast high of 97 before the cold front moves in, increasing scattered rain chances and a few thunderstorms for the middle part of next week. Behind that front, we actually stay in the 80s for highs. That'll feel nice. 89 our current temperature, but it feels like 93. Our low tonight, same as we've been for most days this week, low to mid 70s. We'll see a mostly sunny Friday. As we end the week, it will be warmer, 93. Most areas surrounding us in the low 90s as well. Here comes the 10-day earliest alert, and with that, we'll be at 95 Saturday, 96 Monday and Tuesday, 97 on Tuesday. That's Wave Day at the fair. Go figure, the hottest of the 10-day forecast, and Senior Day. Scattered storms mid next week, Myra, bring a small chance for relief from the heat and the humidity. That's a 30% storm chance mid next week. A lot of 80s to wind down the 10-day.
Yeah, that AC can use a break.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We'll be right back. We thank you for joining us here on Wave News at 5. Wave News at 6 is coming up next.